I matched with Callahan Voss on a Tuesday night, which should have been my first warning. Nothing good happened on Tuesdays. Tuesdays were Mondays wearing better PR. His profile appeared while I was lying on my couch, eating cereal from a coffee mug because every bowl I owned was in the dishwasher. He had dark hair, an unfairly good smile, and exactly 4 photos. No fish. No shirtless bathroom mirror. No group picture requiring forensic analysis. His bio said, landscape architect, terrible dancer, strong opinions about pizza. I stared at it for a full 10 seconds. Then I swiped right. We matched immediately. Please tell me you're not one of those people who thinks pineapple belongs on pizza. I sat up. Please tell me you're not one of those people who makes pizza toppings their entire personality. The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. My pulse did something deeply embarrassing. I contain multitudes, Marlowe. Most of them hate pineapple. That was how it started. For 5 days, we texted constantly. Not in the exhausting, interview-style way where someone asks what I do for fun and then replies, cool. Cal remembered things. He remembered that my cat's name was Fig. He remembered I hated voice notes longer than 30 seconds. He remembered I had a client presentation on Thursday and texted afterward to ask how it went. By Friday morning, I had already shown Tamsin screenshots. This one uses punctuation, she said over FaceTime. That's basically a green flag now. The bar is underground, and yet men keep bringing shovels. Cal and I planned to meet that night at a wine bar downtown. At 6, I changed outfits 4 times, reapplied lipstick twice, and told Fig I was being normal. Fig stared at me with the quiet disappointment of someone who had watched me date before. At 6:42, my phone lit up. I'm sorry. Something came up. Can we reschedule? I read it once. Then 6 more times, in case the words rearranged themselves into something less predictable. They did not. My stomach tightened. I typed, is everything okay? No response. At 7:15, I checked the app. At 7:20, I checked again. At 7:30, I opened our conversation, closed it, reopened it, and placed my phone face down like it had violated company policy. By 8, I had convinced myself he was on another date. By 8:15, he had become married. By 8:30, he had 3 children and a second phone hidden inside a hollowed-out copy of The Great Gatsby. Dating apps had not made me paranoid. They had simply provided supporting evidence. So I sent one final message. No worries. I don't think this is going to work. Take care. Then I blocked him. It was mature, decisive, and only slightly motivated by the desire to reject him before he could reject me properly. 3 days later, someone moved into the apartment beside mine. I knew because the movers slammed furniture into our shared wall for 2 straight hours. At one point, a crash rattled my framed print crooked. I marched into the hallway wearing leggings, 1 sock, and the expression of a woman prepared to become a building management problem. The door next to mine opened. Cal stood there with a cardboard box in his arms. For several seconds, neither of us moved. His eyes narrowed. Mine widened. My dignity quietly exited through the fire escape. Well, he said, this is either fate. He glanced at my apartment number, or a very aggressive bug in the app. Cal was still holding the box. I was still wearing 1 sock. Neither detail improved the situation. You live here? I asked. He glanced behind himself at the open apartment filled with boxes. No. I break into vacant units and rearrange furniture for fun. Right. Sarcasm. My natural enemy when I was already losing. I folded my arms, then unfolded them because it made me look defensive. Unfortunately, the alternative left my hands hanging at my sides like decorative accessories. You canceled. His expression shifted. My dad had chest pain. I took him to the ER. Every clever response in my head immediately packed a bag and left the country. Oh, yeah. Is he okay? He is now. I nodded too quickly. Good. That's good. I tried to message you later. My gaze dropped to the box in his arms. It said kitchen, fragile, which felt unnecessarily judgmental. I may have blocked you. I noticed. In my defense, dating apps have trained me to treat vague cancellations like active crime scenes. His mouth twitched. That defense probably needs a better lawyer. I reached for my keys, dropped them, bent down, picked them up, then tried to unlock the utility closet. Cal watched me in silence. This isn't my door, I said. I was going to give you another second. Very generous. That was how we became neighbors. Not gracefully, not romantically. More like two people being forced into proximity by a leasing office with a dark sense of humor. We agreed to be polite. Polite lasted approximately 4 days. On Thursday, a package arrived for Callahan Voss. I carried it next door because I was mature and absolutely not curious about what he ordered. He opened the door barefoot, wearing gray sweatpants and a t-shirt that looked soft enough to ruin several months of therapy. Package, I said, holding it between us like evidence. Thanks, block button Bellamy. I stared at him. You're going with that? I'm workshopping it. Well, keep workshopping. He took the box. Our fingers brushed. My hand jerked back so fast I nearly punched myself in the ribs. Smooth. The following week, my kitchen faucet started spraying water sideways at 11:30 at night. I spent 10 minutes twisting random pieces of metal while Fig watched from the counter, contributing nothing. Then someone knocked. Cal stood outside with a wrench. I can hear your plumbing having a breakdown. Relatable. He crouched beneath the sink while I held a flashlight. His shoulder pressed against my knee every time he shifted, and my brain stopped performing basic administrative tasks. You're pointing the light at my back. Oh, now it's in my eyes. Sorry. Maybe just put it on the floor. I did. Fig climbed onto Cal's back. He sighed. Your cat is very helpful. He gets that from me. After that, we kept running into each other. The laundry room. The elevator. The coffee shop around the corner at exactly 8:15 every morning. By the third accidental coffee, the barista stopped asking for Cal's order. By the fifth, Cal stopped asking for mine. Large oat milk latte, he told her. 1 extra shot. No cinnamon. I looked at him. What? You remembered. You complained about cinnamon for 6 minutes. It tastes like decorative dust. That sentence haunts me. Then Fig discovered Cal's apartment. The first time, he slipped between my ankles and sprinted through Cal's open door like he had received a better housing offer. I followed and found him stretched across Cal's couch. Traitor. Cal scratched beneath Fig's chin. He appreciates emotional stability. He eats plastic. So do half the men on dating apps, probably. By the end of April, being around Cal had become dangerously easy. Then the building lost power. We sat in the hallway because both apartments had turned into dark little ovens. Cal brought 2 spoons and a carton of melting chocolate ice cream. This is technically an emergency, he said. I respect your disaster preparedness. We passed the carton between us. Without the hallway lights, his voice sounded closer. Softer. He asked about my work. I asked about his dad. The joke slowed. At some point, my knee touched his. Neither of us moved. You do that when you're worried, he said. Do what? He nodded toward my hand. I was tapping my fingers against the spoon. I stopped. You noticed too much. Occupational hazard. You design gardens. Still requires observation. He leaned closer. My mouth went dry. Every useful thought evacuated my brain like the building had issued a fire alarm. Then the lights came back on. I stood so fast the ice cream carton tipped. I should check on Fig. Cal looked down. Fig was asleep across his lap. Right, he said. I escaped into my apartment with the dignity of someone fleeing a minor felony. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. For the record, I was going to kiss you. I read it 10 times. Then I typed. For the record, that sounds like a terrible idea. His reply came immediately. You didn't say you didn't want me to. After the hallway almost kiss, Cal and I did what emotionally intelligent adults do. We avoided discussing it and started spending even more time together. By mid-May, he was in my apartment often enough that Fig stopped greeting him. Apparently, even betrayal becomes routine. We ate dinner together 4 nights a week. We had a shared streaming show and a strict no-watching-ahead rule. Cal knew which takeout place gave extra dumplings if you ordered near closing. I knew he hated tomatoes but liked tomato sauce, which was logically offensive. None of this counted as dating. Dating involved plans, labels, and the possibility of telling your friends something embarrassing. We were just 2 neighbors who shared meals, errands, inside jokes, and an increasingly questionable amount of physical contact. Very casual. One night, he fell asleep on my couch with his head in my lap. I stayed completely still for 40 minutes because waking him would have been awkward, not because his hair was soft. That information was irrelevant. Tamsin was less willing to participate in my denial. You have a key to his apartment. For emergencies. You water his plants. They're defenseless. He knows your coffee order. So does the barista. The barista has never looked at you like that. I moved a stack of magazines from one side of my coffee table to the other. Like what? Like he's trying not to make a life-altering mistake. Naturally, I ignored her. The life-altering mistake happened in early June. Stellan invited us to his bar for trivia night. Cal and I lost because he insisted the capital of Australia was Sydney, and I refused to let him recover emotionally. We drank too much. He walked me home. Somewhere between the elevator and my front door, I made a joke about his terrible geography. He stepped closer. You've mentioned that 6 times. You deserve consequences. Is this one of them? His fingers touched my waist. Every clever response in my head crashed at once. I kissed him. Or he kissed me. The historical record remains unclear because my brain stopped documenting events after his hand slid into my hair. The next morning, sunlight poured through my bedroom window with the aggressive confidence of someone who had made no bad decisions. Cal was already awake. He stood in my kitchen, wearing yesterday's jeans and making coffee. My coffee. Oat milk. 1 extra shot. No cinnamon. The sight of him doing something so ordinary made my chest tighten in a way the sex had not. Sex could be explained away. Knowing how I took my coffee felt dangerously domestic. He set the mug in front of me. Morning. I wrapped both hands around it so he would not see them shaking. Are we going to talk about this? His eyebrows lifted. I was hoping for coffee first. I laughed, but it came out too high, right? Of course. Coffee before emotional consequences. For the next 2 weeks, we existed in a relationship-shaped space neither of us named. He slept over. I left a toothbrush at his place. We texted each other from opposite sides of the wall. I rehearsed the conversation every night. What are we? Do you want this? Are we exclusive? Each version ended with Cal panicking, moving out, and forcing me to avoid the second floor until my lease expired. Eventually, uncertainty became worse than humiliation. We were eating noodles on his couch when I put down my fork. What are we doing? Cal went still. Not dramatically. Just enough. His thumb stopped moving against the side of his glass. I like you, he said. My stomach lifted. Then he looked at the floor. But, he exhaled. But dating someone next door feels like a terrible idea. I stared at him. That didn't seem to bother you when you were naked in my bed. Mars. No. Explain it. He rubbed a hand over his jaw. My last relationship ended badly. I lost her, our friends, the house we picked out together. Everything. His voice had gone quieter. If this goes wrong, I don't just lose someone I'm dating. I lose the person on the other side of my wall. The room felt suddenly too small. I focused on folding the paper sleeve from my chopsticks into smaller and smaller squares. What he meant was that losing me scared him. What he was saying was that fear mattered more than choosing me. Okay, I said. His eyes lifted. Okay. We go back to being friends. Mars. It's fine. It was not fine. Back in my apartment, I found his toothbrush beside mine. I threw it in the trash. Then I took it back out because that felt dramatic. Then I wrapped it in a paper towel and put it in a drawer, which was apparently the emotionally stable option. At 9:30, someone knocked. A takeout bag sat outside my door. No onions. Extra sauce. My exact sad order. There was a note on top. I'm sorry. I ate every bite. I did not text him back. We established rules. Rules are useful when 2 people have already proven they cannot be trusted with basic emotional judgment. No sleeping together. No flirting after midnight. No entering each other's apartments in pajamas. No calling dinner a date. For the first week, we followed all 4. Mostly because Cal worked late and I avoided the hallway like it contained an active crime scene. Then my biggest client canceled their contract. The email arrived on a Monday morning with phrases like strategic restructuring and shifting priorities, which were corporate ways of saying they no longer wished to pay me. I reread it until the words blurred. Then I cleaned my refrigerator. Not because it was dirty, because reorganizing condiments felt easier than calculating how many months I could afford rent. Cal found me sitting on the kitchen floor, surrounded by mustard. He had knocked. Apparently, I had said, "Come in," without remembering it. He crouched beside me. What happened? I handed him my phone. His jaw tightened as he read. They're idiots. They're restructuring. They're idiots with a thesaurus. A laugh escaped me, thin and unexpected. He did not tell me everything would be fine. He made tea. He helped me update my portfolio. 2 days later, he showed up with lumber, screws, and the confidence of a man who had never assembled furniture from a box. What is that? A desk. I already own a desk. You own a table covered in laundry. That table has multiple functions. By sunset, the dead corner of my living room had become a real workspace. The desk fit perfectly beneath the window. There was even a shelf for Fig, who inspected it and immediately claimed ownership. I ran my hand across the smooth wood. You measured this? Cal shrugged. I noticed things. My throat tightened. So I made a joke about him secretly breaking into my apartment with measuring tape. That was still my preferred method of emotional regulation. In July, his father needed heart surgery. Cal told me in the elevator, staring at the glowing floor numbers instead of me. He says it's routine. His fingers opened and closed around his keys. When, Thursday, I touched his wrist. The motion stopped. On Thursday morning, Cal got trapped at a job site across town. His father's pre-op appointment could not be moved. So I drove Mr. Voss to the hospital. He spent the entire ride telling me embarrassing stories about Cal's childhood, including one involving a school play, a cardboard moon, and a panic-induced nosebleed. I was 8, Cal said later. You cried because the moon fell. It hit me. It was cardboard. It was structurally unsound. The surgery lasted 6 hours. Cal and I sat in the waiting room beneath lighting designed to remove hope from the human body. We drank bad coffee. We watched the same news segment twice. Every time a doctor appeared, Cal's shoulders locked. When the surgeon finally walked toward us, Cal reached for my hand. His grip was tight. The surgery had gone well. Cal closed his eyes. His thumb moved once across my knuckles. Neither of us spoke. Then I noticed Stellan across the room, watching us. Cal noticed too. His hand dropped. The space it left behind felt cold. By August, we had rebuilt our friendship into something warm, stable, and completely unsustainable. We cooked together. We watched our show. He knew when I was pretending to be fine. I knew when he needed company, but would never ask. We did not kiss. We did not talk about the fact that I still wanted to. Tamsin listened to me explain this over brunch while stirring her iced coffee with increasing violence. So you're in a situationship. We're not sleeping together. A celibate situationship. We're friends. You have combined emotional intimacy, unresolved sexual tension, and zero commitment. She lifted her glass. Congratulations. You invented a worse dating app. That afternoon, I downloaded Halcyon again. I matched with Merritt Sloan 2 days later. He was a veterinarian. He asked actual questions. He made a plan for Friday and confirmed it Thursday afternoon without being reminded. On Friday evening, I stepped into the hallway wearing a green dress and more confidence than I felt. Cal was locking his door. His gaze moved over me, then stopped. Where are you going? I checked my lipstick and my phone camera. On a date. The keys in his hand went still. With who? I slipped my phone into my bag. Someone who asked. Merritt Sloan was what Tamsin called suspiciously functional. He made reservations. He arrived on time. He texted when he said he would. On our third date, he asked whether I wanted to be exclusive without first disappearing for 12 business days and returning with a blurry apology. Honestly, it was disorienting. He was a veterinarian with kind eyes, steady hands, and the emotional availability of a customer service department that actually answered the phone. Fig loved him. That felt personal. By September, Merritt and I were seeing each other twice a week. He planned museum dates and Sunday breakfasts. He remembered which side of the bed I preferred. He never made me wonder whether I was asking for too much. There were no mixed signals. No decoding. No staring at typing bubbles like they contained classified information. I liked him. I kept repeating that sentence because apparently liking someone required a marketing campaign when you were still in love with somebody else. Cal pretended to be supportive. He was terrible at it. The first time Merritt picked me up, Cal appeared in the hallway carrying an empty laundry basket. Laundry night. I asked. He looked down at the basket as if seeing it for the first time. Apparently, Merritt stepped out of the elevator wearing a leather jacket. Cal's gaze moved over him. A leather jacket? Merritt smiled. It's cold. It's 68 degrees. I touched Cal's arm. Go wash your imaginary clothes. After that, Cal developed a remarkable talent for needing things while I was on dates. Did I know where his screwdriver was? Had Fig wandered into his apartment? Was the building's Wi-Fi down? Once, he texted to ask whether I remembered the name of the Thai place we ordered from every Wednesday. He had the menu magnet on his refrigerator. I knew because I had put it there. Then Cal started dating Larkinvale. She worked in art restoration, wore dark lipstick without getting it on her teeth, and had the kind of posture that suggested she had never once walked into a utility closet by mistake. I met her on a Saturday morning. Cal's door opened while I was sorting mail. Larkin stepped into the hallway wearing his t-shirt. My fingers tightened around a grocery flyer until it folded in half. She smiled. You must be Mars. The fact that she knew who I was did something deeply unpleasant to my stomach. I must be. Cal appeared behind her. His hair was messy. I suddenly became fascinated by the coupons in my hand. 20% off paper towels. Life-changing. Back inside my apartment, I reorganized the spice cabinet alphabetically. Paprika before rosemary. Cumin before denial. By October, our friendship had become a competition to see who could move on more convincingly. The answer was neither of us. Stellan's Halloween party made that clear. I went as a detective. Merritt wore a doctor's coat and claimed he was an actual professional. Cal came dressed as a pirate. Larkin wore a fitted black dress and cat ears, which felt less like a costume and more like targeted psychological warfare. I drank 2 cocktails too quickly. Cal watched Merritt's hand rest against my lower back. I watched Larkin whisper into Cal's ear. Everyone was having a wonderful time, especially the 4 of us pretending not to monitor one another like hostile governments. I escaped into the storage room to find more napkins. Cal followed me. You look happy, he said. I pulled open a cabinet. I am. With him. I turned. His jaw was tight. You don't get to ask me that. I'm just asking. No. You're checking whether I'm still available. That's not fair. I laughed once. Fair. He stepped closer. You picked him because he's safe. The words landed hard. At least he picked me. Mars. No. My hands had started shaking, so I folded my arms. You don't get to be jealous of a relationship you refuse to have. Cal stopped. The room went quiet. For one dangerous second, he looked like he might kiss me. I stepped back. The door opened behind him. Merritt stood there. His eyes moved from Cal to me. The drive home was silent until we reached my building. Merritt turned off the engine. Am I the person you want? He looked at his hands. Or the person you're using to prove you can want someone else? My mouth opened. Nothing came out. Merritt nodded once. That was the worst part. He already had his answer. Merritt and I ended things 2 days after Halloween. We sat across from each other at a quiet cafe, both of us ignoring coffee that had gone cold. I do care about you, I said. He traced his thumb along the rim of his cup. I know. That somehow made it worse. I never meant to use you. No one plans to be somebody's rebound. His voice stayed gentle, which was deeply inconvenient. Anger would have given me something to defend myself against. Instead, he looked tired. You don't need to apologize for loving the wrong person, he said. But you do need to stop pretending you don't. My fingers tightened around my napkin. I'm sorry. I know that too. He left first. I sat there until the barista asked whether I wanted another drink or simply intended to become part of the furniture. After Merritt, I stopped seeing Cal. Not dramatically. I did not throw his belongings into the hallway or deliver a speech while rain poured artistically behind me. I returned his spare key. I stopped joining him for dinner. When he knocked, I waited until he left before opening the door. Avoiding someone who lived 6 feet away required the tactical planning of a military operation. I learned his work schedule. I took the stairs when I heard his elevator. I switched coffee shops. Fig continued defecting to his apartment because loyalty meant nothing to him. In December, I started looking at other buildings. That was when Cal finally understood I might actually leave. He caught me in the hallway holding a brochure. You're moving? I'm considering it. His eyes dropped to the floor plan in my hand. Because of me? Not everything is about you. It was. But personal growth occasionally required lying until the truth caught up. Later, Stellan told me Cal had started therapy. I did not ask for details. I asked several questions that were technically not asking for details. Apparently, Cal had finally said out loud what everyone else already knew. His parents' divorce had taught him that good relationships could still collapse. His last breakup had cost him his partner, his house, and most of his friends. So now, whenever something mattered, he kept one hand on the emergency exit. The problem was, he had been so focused on avoiding loss that he had created it. My therapist helped me identify my own pattern. I called emotionally unavailable men complicated because that sounded more romantic than predictably disappointing. I confused anxiety with chemistry. I treated uncertainty like proof that something mattered. Apparently, butterflies were not always romance. Sometimes they were my nervous system filing a complaint. In early January, a former client offered me a 3-month contract in Seattle. The work was good. The money was better. There was a possibility it could become permanent. I said I would think about it. Then I spent 3 days staring at the email while reorganizing my desk. Cal found out through Tamsin. She claimed it slipped out. Tamsin had never accidentally said anything in her life. He knocked that evening. I opened the door, but did not invite him in. You're going to Seattle? Maybe. When? Next month. His hand tightened around his keys. For one awful second, I expected him to tell me not to go. Instead, he nodded. You should take it if you want it. I stared at him. That's why you came over? No. He exhaled slowly. I came because I want to be with you. My pulse jumped, then immediately put up defensive walls. Cal, I'm not asking you to stay. His voice shook slightly. I'm not asking you to make this easy for me. I don't want fear making my decisions anymore. I folded my arms. What changed? Nothing became less scary. He looked directly at me. I just finally understood that being afraid doesn't mean I'm not making a choice. It means I've been choosing fear. The hallway went quiet. I had imagined this moment so many times. In every version, I kissed him immediately. Real life required better boundaries. If we do this, we do it for real. He nodded. Dates. Labels. Honest conversations. Yes. Therapy continues. Yes. And you don't get to hide behind friendship every time things become difficult. I won't. I studied his face. Can I kiss you now? He asked. You've had 8 months to prepare a better line. Is that a no? I caught the front of his shirt and pulled him closer. That's me lowering my standards one final time. Dating Cal was surprisingly awkward. We already knew each other's coffee orders, family histories, and preferred takeout sauces. But apparently, once you added the word boyfriend, everything required paperwork. Our first official date was at the same wine bar where we were supposed to meet 9 months earlier. Cal arrived 10 minutes early. I arrived 12 minutes early, then waited around the corner so I would not appear emotionally invested. Growth was not always linear. When I finally walked in, he stood. You look beautiful. My mouth went dry. This man had seen me sick, crying, and wearing a face mask that made me resemble a haunted avocado. Still, one compliment nearly shut down my operating system. Thank you. He pulled out my chair. I stared at it. What? You've never done that before. We've never been on a date before. We've had dinner approximately 70 times. Those were emotionally confusing meals. Fair. For the first month, we tried too hard. We scheduled dates despite sharing a wall. We asked before entering each other's apartments. Cal once texted, "Can I come over?" while standing outside my door. I replied, "Who is this?" The strange part was not kissing him. That felt easy. The strange part was learning that closeness did not mean constant access. Sometimes I needed space. Sometimes he needed reassurance. Sometimes one of us was irritated, and the relationship did not immediately burst into flames. That final concept was hardest for Cal. 3 months later, I accepted the Seattle contract. Cal helped me pack. He smiled. He made lists. He researched flight prices. Then, 2 weeks after I left, he started disappearing. Not completely. He still replied. But his messages got shorter. Calls became maybe tomorrow. He said work was busy with the suspicious frequency of a man slowly backing toward an emotional exit. My old instincts returned immediately. I reread texts, counted punctuation, invented breakups during shampooing. Then I stopped. I called him. He answered on the 4th ring. Hey, you're doing it again. Silence. Doing what? Leaving before anyone has left. He exhaled. Mars. No, I don't need you to promise nothing will change. I need you to stop abandoning us before anything has happened. The humor drained out of the room, even with 1,500 miles between us. I'm scared, he said. I know. What if this becomes permanent? Then we talk about it. What if long distance changes us? It will. He went quiet. I pressed my fingers against my forehead. Cal, change is not the same thing as failure. His voice softened. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I. That became the conversation that saved us. Not a grand gesture. Not an airport sprint. A difficult phone call where neither of us hung up. We made a plan. Video calls 3 nights a week. Visits twice a month. No pretending to be fine when we were not. No punishing each other for needing reassurance. It was not romantic every day. Sometimes love looked like delayed flights, unstable Wi-Fi, and falling asleep during video calls with my face pressed into a hotel pillow. But 3 months later, I came home. Cal met me outside the building. Fig was in a carrier beside him, screaming like he had personally financed my absence. I dropped my suitcase. Cal wrapped his arms around me. For once, neither of us made a joke. By September, we had been officially together for 7 months. One evening, Cal led me upstairs to an empty apartment. It had larger windows, 2 bedrooms, and enough counter space for both of us to develop new kitchen-related resentments. He placed a key in my hand. I stared at it. What is this? The apartment upstairs. You rented it? I put down a deposit. My heart kicked hard against my ribs. Cal's fingers closed gently around mine. I'm not asking because I think living together guarantees anything romantic. His mouth twitched. I'm asking because I want to build a life with you, even though guarantees aren't real. I looked around the empty room, then at him. Yes. 2 years after our first match, we held our engagement party at Stellan's bar. Tamsin stood beside the cake and read aloud the message I had sent her after blocking Cal. He was probably married, emotionally unavailable, or dead. Cal raised his glass. Technically, I was just at the hospital. Everyone laughed. I looked at the ring on my hand, then at the man beside me. I used to think blocking someone meant closing the door forever. Sometimes the universe simply moved him next door, where the walls were thin, the Wi-Fi was terrible, and avoiding love became impossible.